Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to World's Finest, the official Vidcast podcast brought to you by the Comic Collectors Guild. My name is Jake. You guys know me as the Superman, and joining me always from Gotham City is Lee Lawson, a.k.a. the Batman. Lee, how are you today, sir?
I'm great. What's up, Jake? Welcome back, everyone. We've got a fantastic show tonight, and we can't wait to get started.
Yep, so we're going to be counting down the baddest bitches in all of DC and Marvel, the top 10 female superheroes. This one's tough. Sometimes the girls don't get enough love, but there are a lot of awesome female superheroes across these universes, and this one was actually pretty tough to narrow down for me. How was this list for you, when you're breaking this thing down?
It was for me as well, and like you just said, I mean, they don't get enough love at all, and we're just now finally getting some love for them on the big screen. So I can't wait for that to explode. It started over the past couple of years with Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel, and obviously a little bit before that with Black Widow being in there, introducing the Avengers. But I mean, there's so many fantastic superheroines out there across both universes, both DC and Marvel, and I really can't wait to dive in and get into it because I think this is a pretty good list, man.
It is a good list. Yeah, we're starting to see, too, even in other franchises, starting with the comics, and then it stemmed off. We've seen was like Star Wars, where like the heroes have been like Jyn Erso and Rey. So, girls there. And then, these Disney princesses aren't really just princesses anymore. They're heroes in their own right. So we're starting to see a shift of strong female characters that are becoming heroes in their own right. So we're sticking to the comics, though, here. As we mentioned, there's a bunch. So let's just start with one or two honorable mentions. Who did you have for honorable mentions on your side?
All right. I've got two honorable mentions here that we'll start with, and these are in no particular order, guys. But I have first up a hero that was really around in the introduced in the 80s, I think, for Marvel. She was formerly known as Captain Marvel. And it's not the Captain Marvel you guys are thinking about. I'm talking about, she now goes by Photon, I think her name is, but Monica Rambeau in the Captain Marvel film. She's got, I don't know, for guys who don't know, she's kind of hasn't been a huge character, but she was always one of my favorites. She was a leader in the Avengers during a run in the 80s and 90s. I got to know her from the Secret Wars comics, actually, because she was in there as well. But she's got light-based powers. She was actually introduced in the Captain Marvel film as a little girl, albeit as a little girl.
Okay, gotcha.
So Captain Marvel's best friend in the Air Force, her.
Gotcha.
Her daughter is Monica, and she grows up, and she's rumored to actually make her first adult appearance in Vision and Scarlet Witch.
Okay.
Which comes out. So she might be a little known hero to most, but she's near and dear to my heart. Again, she was
that's a good one.
One of the more prominent African American female superheroes. Yeah,
there you go.
She's on my honorable mention list.
Awesome. And who is number two?
Number two is Wonder Girl, a.k.a. Troy, Donna Troy. Make no mistake, that is who I'm talking about. For you guys who have listened to these shows, I'm a huge fan of the New Teen Titans run, specifically that was populated with Robin, Kid Flash, Wonder Girl, Cyborg, Changeling, those guys, Kid Flash, as I said. So that's where I choose her. I've gotten to know Donna Troy throughout the years. She's always been a favorite character of mine. So she is those two are my honorable mentions.
Good choices, my friend. And Donna Troy, I really like that character. She blends really well. We've seen her even in the Titans DC Universe show, and she's awesome. So fantastic choice, sir.
Thank you. What do you have up your sleeve, sir?
First, I have two honorable mentions as well. The first one is coming from the X-Men universe. That is Rogue. I love Rogue. She's super strong and powerful. I fell in love with her back in the X-Men animated series. She has a really fun relationship with Gambit in particular. I like their dialogue, and she's got like that Southern, charm and accent to her. So always liked Rogue. She, they used her a little differently in the X-Men movies, where it was more just focused on her inability to touch, somebody, and we've seen, kind of how that prevented her and Iceman to have a really good relationship. But I'm talking specifically the animated versions. I think they nailed her to perfection there. And then the second one for me is a girl who's going to be spotlighting on the big screen soon, and that is Black Widow. from the Marvel Universe, I love Black Widow. Obviously, more so from the movies with Scarlett Johansson in the MCU. You know, she's a very strong character. You know, she really humanizes a lot of what's going on because she doesn't really have any powers or anything other than being, you know, a spy and assassin. I don't think I've ever written or read anything about her really in the comics. So that's why she's not on my top 10. There's not really a presence of her in the comics for me. But because she has been such a badass in the MCU, she is worthy of an honorable mention. So Rogue and Black Widow for me.
Great choices, dude. I love them both. I can't go wrong with either one of them.
Cool. Well, let's get into this top 10, shall we? Let's start with number 10. Who do you got?
I have Rogue.
All right.
I have Rogue as number 10. To your point, she wasn't used to the best of her ability in the movies. They did just focus on the fact that she was able to absorb other people's powers. I was a big fan of the Rogue from the animated series as well as the comics I read growing up, because that Rogue was based on, she always had that mutant ability, but she also, because she was, I don't know if you guys know this, but she actually stole Captain Marvel's powers for the longest, you know. That's how she was able to fly and
super strong,
and to be invulnerable and all of that. So that's the Rogue that I got to know. So I was always really disappointed that we never got to see that aspect of her character in the X-Men films. But Rogue's my number 10. Yeah,
good choice. Yeah, I think it's fascinating how she, you know, stole her powers from Captain Marvel, and that's, you know, how she got to be so strong. So very cool. For me, I'm keeping it right there in the X-Men universe. I'm talking about X-23. She is a little fireball of just badass. I think that, you know, obviously watching, everybody knows Wolverine's my favorite Marvel character. So to see, you know, his daughter, you know, she's got not just claws in her fist, but she's got them coming out of her feet. She's taking names, and, you know, I think she made the biggest, like, oh snap, like in a movie that I remember. Like, I thought in Logan, which is arguably one of my favorite movies of all time, you know, the addition of her, and I thought it would be a pivotal part, but my gosh, did she kick ass. And I've never seen a little kid kick so much ass in a movie as we did with X-22. I mean, that girl nailed it. Like, she was brutal. She was such a badass. And for that alone, she got put on my top 10. But, you know, again, the abilities that basically Wolverine has, she has the healing abilities, she has the claws, and she's got that same little rage monster inside of her that Logan has. So for that reason, she's my number 10.
So were you a fan of the way they portrayed her from the page to the screen?
Yes, yeah. And obviously she's a little older a lot of times in the comics. Like, we've seen it more of an adult, but I like the version. I think using the child part of it, where it's more of that father-daughter relationship at those ages, makes you kind of connect a little more and you feel more for it because she's more of a little girl. But I like the way they did it.
Would you back specifically an X-23 movie coming specifically from that movie, or would you like them to kind of, you would have
bring her on? Yeah, and I thought she did a fantastic job. I mean, she really did. I mean, wait for her to get a little older, put her in the gym a little bit, and she's just fine. I'm 100%. And I'd love to see the transition from the death of Wolverine and, like, the sacrifice he made and how that, you know, projected into the world, how he kind of saved those mutant kids. And, you know, I would like to see the progression of that storyline. So absolutely. What about you?
Yeah, I thought I would have as well. I mean, I'm torn between that because in order for that to happen, we still have to have that X-Men split universe. You know what I mean? So I'm really more than happy than anything that they're all back in the MCU. But no, I thought she did a great job. I don't know her as well as you do from the page, you know, from the comics. So I've seen her in a couple of the animated stuff that I've seen. But I thought she did a great job. Yeah, I totally would like to back it for sure.
Cool. Let's move on to number 9. Who do you got?
Number 9, I have another former leader of the Avengers. We're talking about Janet Van Dyne herself, the Wasp. Yeah, she's for me, I've actually probably read more stuff with her in it than I have with Ant-Man, who she was introduced with.
Okay.
You know, and she's also been, just because I've read a lot of the Avengers stuff, and he seemed to be he wasn't really a mainstay. I mean, a lot, much as like she was. Again, everything that I was reading back then, she was always portrayed as a leader of the Avengers. There's just
Right.
model that stuff. But I think that also that she did a great job. Oh my gosh, help me, the girl from Lost.
Oh, I was gonna
Played
say
her.
from The Hobbit. I don't know
Oh,
what her
from The
name
Hobbit,
is.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
No, but she
yeah.
did a great job portraying
She
her on the
did.
screen as
Yeah.
well. Can't wait to see more of what she does. I think she was slighted a little bit in Endgame. I would have liked to have seen her really, because Wasp, she got to cut the short end of the stick, in my opinion, because really she was one of the founding in the movies. She was one of the
Yes.
founding Avengers in the comics. So I would have liked to have seen her be more part of that. I guess they
Yeah.
substituted Black Widow for her. you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I've always liked her. I've always liked the way she's been portrayed. She's always kind of a smart aleck and all of that, and she's always been a true leader as well. So Wasp is my number 9.
Wasp was cool. I'm with you. When I grew up, I actually didn't know barely anything about Ant-Man, but I knew of Wasp. She was portrayed a lot more. And same with Black Widow. I had the same thoughts that she was kind of replaced by Black Widow within the MCU. But I would have liked to have seen Wasp actually. I think more because I think she's a fascinating character, and I would have preferred maybe even her being used more so than Ant-Man, even though I love Paul Rudd as Ant-Man and it brings nice comedy to it. But
Yeah.
I like the Wasp character, I think, more than I do Ant-Man. So,
Well, I would agree. And with both of those characters, actually, they kind of got the short end of the stick because Hank Pym,
yeah,
is not really portrayed as they're using more of the Scott Lang version in
yeah,
Ant-Man in the Ant-Man films when Hank Pym
right,
was the Janet Van Dyne and they were
right.
one of the original teams. So both of them have got that short end of the stick. But yeah, Wasp.
Cool.
Who do you have for number 9?
Mine is Supergirl, the cousin of the Man of Steel himself. I think she's really cool. She's kind of in a lot of stories, she's finding her way into being Supergirl. We haven't seen her as full-fledged superhero in a lot of storylines where she's kind of getting brought under Kal-El's wing, and he's getting her adjusted to Earth and humans and how to act and how to kind of disguise herself, but yet still be able to be proud of where she's from and her powers. But we've also seen, like in the CW, where she's portrayed to be as strong as Superman and just as much of a superhero is Superman, which is travesty in my part, but still, she's still got a lot of the powers that Superman does. So obviously, she is crazy powerful.
Yeah.
I think she is a little naive with some things, just because she's a lot newer to Earth than Clark or Kal-El is. But all the same, she's a really cool character. I like her backstory in Injustice, where she really fears Brainiac and kind of that battle between her and Brainiac. I think that's really cool. And then also in that particular storyline, her trying to pull her cousin, back to be the good hero that, he has always been. So that particular storyline is actually my favorite adaptation with Supergirl. And that's why she's in my list. So Supergirl is my number 9.
Great reasons, man. I love the back, and that's why you picked her. Very cool.
Yeah. Let's move on to number 8. Who do you got?
I have Dinah Lance, old Black Canary. Yeah, been a fan of hers for a while. Definitely liked her, the way they portrayed her. Well, she was always, again, I always go back and I reference this a lot, guys, and I'm sorry, but the Satellite Justice League era, I was a huge fan. She was a mainstay in there. I did also read some of the Green Arrow stuff as well, on and off. So she was also in there. So she was always she was always around, you know what I mean, and a lot of the stuff that I was reading here and there. And so she definitely became somebody who I, took to and was a fan of. I love the Canary Cry. She's also just all around badass, you know what I mean? Street level hero, but really badass. But then she has that thing that takes her a little bit above that with the Canary Cry.
Yep.
I love the way she's portrayed in Birds of Prey. I actually liked the way she was. I mean, I think that the actress did a good job in Harley Quinn.
Yes.
And the Birds of Prey. There's lots of things that I would have done differently with that film. Of course, obviously having Barbara Gordon in there with them as the Birds of Prey and seeing more of them in action. But I thought that, what was it, Jurnee Smollett, I believe her name was?
I think so, yeah.
Sorry if I'm wrong about that, but I thought she did a great job portraying her in there. I like the different variations they put in the Arrow show.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen them stay more true, as we've discussed, to having the relationship with Green Arrow. And really follow through more on that. but they've had lots of different iterations of the character kind of running
Yes.
through that show, like two different
Yeah.
ones. But each of them have taken have done a good job of portraying a different personality the way she's been portrayed throughout the years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the different stories. So yeah, all those reasons, my friend, is why Black Canary has made my number 8.
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna keep it going. I swear, me and Lee don't talk about this beforehand. She is
Are
my
you
number
kidding
8
me?
as well. Black Canary. Yeah, for a lot of the reasons you said, I liked her in Birds of Prey. I love her in Birds of Prey. I liked her in the Harley Quinn movie Birds of Prey. And the actress did a great job. I prefer the comic version, especially with her and Green Arrow. Like that, the comic version of Green Arrow, I think they are actually one of the better relationships in all of DC Comics. I love seeing those two together, and I hope we can see them on the big screen someday together. And there's a lot of iterations and different looks and different suits with Black Canary, but she's just a very cool character. She's a badass. You can relate to her. She's got the cool cry. I really like them in the Injustice game. I keep going to this video game, but there's a big, section of the video game between Black Canary and Green Arrow where they're together and they're fighting. And I really like the utilization of that. And within that storyline, Black Canary really stands out. So I agree on all points, sir. Black Canary is number 8 officially. Let's move on to number 7. We'll try and make it different. Who's your number 7, sir?
Now I'm just really curious each time I say it. I can't wait to see what you say next. You know? For me, it is Jean Grey. I have her as my number 7 choice. Obviously, she's one of the most powerful mutants ever. She was one of the 5 original X-Men. The relationship with her, the triangle between her, Wolverine, and Cyclops has always been fun to read. I did like the way that she was. I've liked actually both actresses that have portrayed her in live action. They each did a little something different. Obviously, they called her at different stages of life. Famke Johnson and the original X-Men slew of films. And then oh my gosh, Sansa. From Games of Thrones.
Sophie Turner.
Sophie Turner. I think that she was, even though I like the way that both of them did with the character. Obviously, we've never yet to see the true awesome storyline of the Phoenix. Adapted correctly. So I would have liked to have seen both of them to see what they would have actually done if given the opportunity to play that. It's one of the most famous storylines ever, you know what I mean? And we need to see it done justice. But Jean Grey is my number 7.
All right, we are different on this one. That's good.
Okay. I was going to say, I didn't know. I was like,
what's he going to say? No, Jean's fantastic, and Sophie Turner, you can call me anytime. Anyways, mine is Starfire. I know it's a character that you love. She's a big part of the Teen Titans. I love Starfire. She's very, very powerful. She has extremely cool powers. She's a great leader and mentor for the rest of the Titans, especially when she's adapted as being a little older than say like Blue Beetle and like the Damian Wayne Robin in that that version where she's a little older than the rest, and Beast Boy and all them. But also I love the relationship between her and Nightwing. Dick Grayson. I think that adds an extra element to it. I think they're doing a good job of portraying that in the Titans TV show. They really need each other and they help each other. But she's a great leader. She's got great powers. She can definitely kick ass. Her power scale is way up there. And obviously anything with the Titans is good with me. I know it's good for you. So that's why she is my number 8 or number 7.
I approve of your number 7 choice. Starfire is awesome. She's a great character, and I'm glad that we're actually getting to see her done in live action.
Me too.
You mentioned Titans, and they're doing a great job with that. I wonder if we'll move towards that relationship that they've become famous for.
Right. Yeah, and I like how they do it in the animated DC movies especially. They do a great job of Nightwing and her almost being boyfriend and girlfriend and having a romance. So,
for sure.
Let's keep on moving, dude. Number 6. Who do we have?
Number 6 for me is She-Hulk, old Jennifer Walters. Always been a fan of hers, from Avengers to. I actually remember reading came across at some point years after it come out, but I, came across it in my uncle's basement. I talked a lot about my comic love came from him. He had some great comics, but I remember reading the Savage She-Hulk, the number one, where she gets a blood transfusion from Bruce. And I became more of a fan because in the original comics, I believe I'm correct, she was kind of portrayed as more of like the Hulk, where she was kind of just another mindless brute.
Monster, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But then she changed, not pretty early on, and she was in control of herself.
Right.
So I think she did. I liked her in Avengers. I loved her in Fantastic Four. She was a mainstay in the Fantastic Four for a number of years. When there was a storyline where the Thing left, she kind of took his place to become more of the strength for the team. So I liked her in there. And some of her solo issues, she's commonly broken the fourth wall. You know what I mean? She's
little
talked to the
Deadpool action.
Yeah, a lot. I'm going to give it back. I'm going to give it to her first and say she actually probably created that. Deadpool
Probably
stole it from her. Yeah, but I would say that in the past few years, she's I don't know where she is in comics right now, but she was a really popular character back in the 80s and 90s. I'm not sure where her popularity lies now, but I'm very excited that we are getting a live action show of her here on Disney Plus. I think that's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see that actually. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. But yeah, She-Hulk, man, my number 6.
That's great. Yeah, I love She-Hulk as well. I think it's cool. There's even some iteration, if not a lot of iterations, where she like loves being She-Hulk. Like when she transforms, like she totally digs it, which is completely opposite from Bruce with Hulk. He's like does everything he can not to transform, and she's like, I love this. This is great. Well, it's because she has that control.
She has total control. She can go. She can will herself back and forth. She can control the metamorphosis. And she constantly usually stays in that state, in the She-Hulk state. So yeah, I love her, dude. She's a great character.
Awesome, dude. Mine, I'm taking this down under the water. I'm talking about Mira. She is my number 6. She's awesome. I love her ability to control water. We've talked about it a million times, the world of Atlantis and the mythology of all that is such a cool concept, and anything underwater for me is something I'm really intrigued by. But she's really responsible in a lot of most storylines for Arthur being Aquaman, because she seeks him out. She really helps him along the way. I loved her, Amber Heard. I think she did a great job with her in the movies, a fantastic job. And her being kind of engaged to Orm, which is a great villain and anti-hero in comics, I guess, somewhat, but that dilemma, and she realizes what's wrong and right, and that Arthur is a true king, and she's the one who kind of gives him the courage to step up and be the king of Atlantis. So we owe a lot to Mira, but just on her powers alone, the ability to control water, she can hold her own. She's a badass, dude. So Mira is my number 6.
Awesome, dude. Yeah. I wonder if we'll see Amber Heard play her in the next.
I don't know. I tell you what though. I saw a fan art. I don't know if this is probably just complete fandom here, but someone did like a cool edit of Emilia Clarke as Mira, and she looked phenomenal. And how cool would it be to see Daenerys and Khal Drogo back together? It'd be great.
That would be awesome.
I'm totally on board for that. So I actually would kind of like to see that. So, but anyways, if Amber Heard does continue to play, she's done an amazing job. So. Definitely, and I thought also it wasn't really too big of a story, but in Flashpoint, the quick battle between Mira and Wonder Woman, that was like, oh, that's good. Like that's real good. I like that fight.
Yeah. Well, it depends on who you wanted to win that fight, I guess.
I just liked watching those two go at it.
Right. No, I get it. Yeah.
I'd like to go fly on that wall. But yeah, okay. So we're in the top 5 now. Top 5. So number 5 for you, sir. Who is it?
All right, dude. I have Susan Storm, a.k.a. Susan Richards, a.k.a. the Invisible Woman. I chose her. I kind of lost it along the way, but at one point I was a huge Fantastic Four fan. I read a lot of their comics when I was coming up, way more even probably than like X-Men or the Avengers. So I was a huge Fantastic Four fan. She's actually one of the most. She didn't really get her due in the very beginning. She was more of just like they didn't really know how to write her, even though she was she's Marvel's first heroine. You know what I
Right.
mean? First female superhero, actually.
Right.
She kind of, I don't know what's the right word. I mean, they just kind of put her to the side. They didn't give her her
I
due.
got you. Yeah.
Throughout the years, she's gotten more and more powerful to where she's actually probably uh, the most powerful member of the Fantastic Four and one of the most powerful members in the Marvel universe, actually.
Yeah.
With her array of powers that she has, she does a lot more than just turn invisible.
Right.
You know what I mean? She does a lot more with her force fields and all of that. I've liked the way she's actually crossed over in a lot of stories and dealt with other characters in the Marvel universe. She's also, when they have like some type of Marvel female team up, she's always kind of portrayed as the leader of that,
Yeah.
as well. So yeah, all those reasons are why I've always been a fan of old Susan Richards. Yeah.
No, she's great. I mean, it's funny, the Fantastic Four, for people, I guess, people around my age, that we've not, they were so popular for a long time, and because of the lacking of the movies and then the popularity of these other characters, they've kind of fallen by the wayside to a lot of people that haven't really seen too much of the Fantastic Four. So I actually don't know that much about. I mean, I know she turns invisible. I know the kind of basics, but I haven't gotten to see a lot of her.
Right.
But I'm very fascinated about the Fantastic Four, especially with the MCU. Very heavily rumors that John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, which would be a dream cast. Seeing her, I think she literally would be the perfect Sue Storm. So I hope that comes true. But fantastic choice. She's one character that I would like to know like a lot more about that I don't have that much knowledge of. So
I think we're going to start to see a big push on the comic front for the Fantastic Four. Now that Marvel has everybody back for the cinema.
Under one roof.
Under one roof. Because I don't know, real quick segue here, what Marvel was doing, they weren't putting a lot of promotion on the Fantastic Four. Like when they took their series away from them for a while, they weren't publicizing it because they looked at that as free publicity for the 20th Century Fox films that they were trying to put out and do. You know what I mean? Right. So I think now that they're all under one roof, we're going to start to see more of a bigger push because Marvel's first family needs to be, they need to be more the show.
Yep, I agree. Well, for me, my number 5 is another kind of Storm, and that is Storm from the X-Men. I absolutely love Storm. She was a big mainstay in the X-Men animated show as well as in the movies. I thought, Halle Berry had done a fantastic job as Storm, and the newer actress, help me out here, who played Storm in the newer stuff? That actress did a phenomenal job.
She was fantastic.
She was fantastic. Whatever your name is, I'm sorry. But no, I think she's a very core X-Men character. She teaches a lot of the classes at the Xavier School. Her relationship with Charles is very close, and she's kind of a steady within the X-Men because, you have that love triangle of Wolverine, Jean, and Cyclops, and then there's Rogue and Gambit, and then there's Storm there that kind of can pull everybody together. I just think she's cool. And she's got the great powers, like being able, I remember like her eyes go white and, there's lightning going or wind or whatever it might be. She's just all around very, very cool. And her importance to the X-Men and being a big X-Men fan, she had to be in my top 5. So that's who I have at number 5.
I love it, man. Awesome choice.
All right, there you go. Number 4, sir. Number 4.
All right. Number 4 for me is Kara Zor-El, Supergirl. I have also been a fan of hers for a while. And it has when I was introduced to her, I loved her. Then she sacrificed herself in Crisis, for Superman, basically saved his life. Well, saved the universe, but, really was saving him because he was about to die by the Anti-Monitor. So she was able to help him out, save him. I think she's been well written. I've been always more a fan of the character when it's been an iteration of her being the cousin of Superman.
Yes.
I think for a while in the 90s and stuff like that, there was some other version of Supergirl that she even had her own series and stuff. This is when after she had died in Crisis, there was another Supergirl that made her appearance. I don't know much about that one, but I was a fan of always the cousin, pre-Crisis, right. And now the one that's running around out there in the current timeline of the comics, I believe, as well, who's part of the Titans. Yeah, but she's the actual Supergirl I'm referring to.
Yeah.
old mini Superman. You know what I mean? She's
Yeah.
got all of his powers, and to your point, some of the live action stuff has been just portrayed to be even more powerful than he is. But I know. But she has been portrayed that way,
Yeah.
and but she lends herself well to her relationship with a lot of the other female superheroes. You
Yeah.
know, she kind of looks up to Wonder Woman. Her and Batgirl have been shown to be pretty tight. So I'm always a big fan of when superheroes are kind of buddying around and having team up.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, she lends herself well to that. So all those reasons is why she's my number 4.
Fantastic choice, sir. I'm going to keep it in DC. This character is very different from the rest of the characters on my list. I have Zatanna at number 4. Zatanna is part of Justice League Dark. She brings magic into this mix. She was actually debuted in Hawkman. That's where she made her first appearance, which I actually did not know until doing a little research. But she's an actual magician, and then she's got magical powers that she's able to use. She's very sexy and has a cool look to her. Her and Constantine have a very cool dynamic and just very different. When you're dealing with her, you're dealing with the mystical arts and magic, and it's usually a pretty dark storyline. We've seen her recently in the Batman Damned storyline, and the addition of her I thought was fantastic. And I cannot wait to see what J.J. Abrams does in Justice League Dark. Hopefully, bring her live action. There are a lot of actresses that I would love to see play her. So Zatanna, because she's different and because of the magic element, she is actually my number 4.
I love it, dude. I love her powers, the way she has to talk backwards,
Yeah.
in order to do the spells.
Yeah.
I like the history because her father, I think his name was Zatara, if I'm not mistaken. He was kind of portrayed as one of the original heroes running around out there. He's got a history with Batman and all of that stuff, and that's why she kind of has a history with Batman as well.
Right.
But yeah, dude, all a very good choice. And again, going back to what I've always said, she was a mainstay in the Justice League Satellite era too, so that's why I got to know and love.
There you go.
So,
there you go.
Awesome choice, man. Very cool.
Thank you. Let's get into top 3 now. So your number 3, kicking us off, is who?
My number 3 is the first major Marvel female hero of color, Storm. You just spoke about her. So I won't go into too much about it. I've been a fan of her. She's insanely powerful. She was actually chosen to go up against Wonder Woman in that DC versus Marvel thing that we've spoken about before in the past. Yeah, and God, I'm probably wrong about this, but I don't think I am. I think Storm won that one.
Really?
I think she was voted against. That was one of the ones that people voted for.
Gotcha.
And when that came out too, the X-Men were insanely hugely popular. I'm sure they've always outsold Wonder Woman. I have no doubt in my mind that X-Men comics have outsold Wonder Woman comics. So that one kind of, the fans were voting, that one kind of makes sense. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Please comment in the comment field. But I like her. She's kind of a character that has grown outside of the X-Men world also.
Yeah.
She's the Queen of Africa. I believe she's the Black Panther's wife. She's been portrayed as that a lot, or I believe that's still an existing storyline with them. They've been married for a while. But yeah, unlike you, I don't think that she got her due in live action. Yes, Halle Berry is incredibly hot, but I don't think they portrayed Storm. Storm has always been, to me, one. If you think about a leader of the X-Men, it's Cyclops. You first think of, but right behind that is Storm.
Yeah, I agree with. Yes.
Yeah, she's been shown quite a bit as being a leader of the X-Men for a number of years. And so unlike you, I don't think they gave her. I don't think we've seen the best live action portrayal. They haven't really.
Of Storm. To your point, actually, they touched in the animated series. They did a great job of Cyclops and Storm are definitely the two leaders of that team. In the animated cartoon, they did a fantastic job. I guess a good segue, because that completely slipped my mind until you brought it up. Would you like to see the X-Men brought in a small form by having T'Challa marry or meet Storm in Black Panther 2, and that's how it's introduced? Would you be game for that? Or would you like to see that relationship on the big screen? Or would you like to see her with the X-Men already established?
I totally wouldn't mind having her introduced in Black Panther. I don't know if I want her to be the immediate love interest right off the bat, and that's what's I kind of want to see her, and then she's tied to Black Panther forever or
Yeah.
whatever. In the MCU, I want to see her and her evolve and
Right.
become in the X-Men. You know what I mean? But yeah, by all means, introduce her and then have her move on into the X-Men, or yeah. I guess to answer your question, I wouldn't mind that. I just want to make sure that Storm actually gets
Her due.
You know
Fair
what I
enough.
mean? Yeah, you know what I
Fair
mean?
enough.
Her due.
Fair
And,
enough.
yeah. So, but yeah, go by all means, explore all of that. Make her the leader of the X-Men. Explore the relationship that she has with, with T'Challa. And if they get married, that's fantastic. I think that's a great relationship in the way it's portrayed in the comics.
Yeah.
All
Power
that
couple
aside,
goals.
Storm is my number. Yeah, right. Power couple goals.
Yeah, cool, man.
Storm is my number 3. You're a top 3 now?
Yeah, so we just flipped really. I have Jean Grey. Basically, yours just reversed. I love Jean. The reason I chose her over Storm just by a hair, because I like them about the same, is I like the Jean. She's like pretty much known as being like a category 5 for mutants, where she's like the top of the top. But her little, that Dark Phoenix storyline, I think it's pretty much legendary as far as X-Men storylines go. And she's dealing with that split of Phoenix and Jean. I think that inner struggle is, just kind of fascinating to me. I love both versions in the movies. I thought they've done a good job. And I like her in the, again, X-Men animated series, where it's just, for the most part, just focused on Jean Grey. In her alone, Phoenix aside, is a very cool character. She's got a lot of the powers that Charles Xavier has, being able to read minds, and really beyond that, because she can do so many other things. And then we can see what happens if it's used the wrong way. She freaking vaporized Charles Xavier in the X-Men movies. So, and then that love triangle between Wolverine, Cyclops, and her, it just adds cool, because I love seeing like that love-hate relationship between Scott and Logan, where they don't want to like each other, but they kind of like each other, but they still go back and forth. So Jean Grey, for a lot of the reasons you mentioned, she's my number 3.
Cool, man. All right.
Okay. Top 2.
I think I know. I mean, I bet I could tell you exactly who yours are.
I think I know yours.
Just
look
at mine. They might be flipped, but maybe
I
not.
doubt it. I doubt it. All right, bring it on, dude. What you got?
Number 2, I have Batgirl.
Okay, I have Batgirl too. We must.
Oh, do you? Okay. Yeah, let's talk
Babs.
about it. Well, because Babs, and I want to be clear too. And I guess probably the same for you, not speak for you, but I'm definitely referring to the Barbara Gordon version.
Oh yes.
So
absolutely.
Really might be talking about Barbara Gordon, because I actually like her as Oracle also.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Me too.
You know what I mean? So really, if you want to just split hairs or whatever, then I guess you could just say really it's just Barbara Gordon as the character.
Yes.
Because I know there's been other Batgirls, especially when she was Oracle for those number of years. There was other Batgirls running around. I don't know much about her. Didn't really care to know much about her, to be honest
exactly.
with you. I'm sure she's a really popular character in her own right, just not to me. But yeah, Barbara Gordon's been fantastic as Oracle or Batgirl. She's been shown to be just a leader, true leader. There was also one of the was an Elseworld story done before years ago when all of the males were killed in the DC universe, and she was chosen to be. And there was all the female superheroes running around still, but she was Green Lantern in that, and she did a fantastic job as Green Lantern. It was a nice little 5-6 issue run of this. I can't remember what it was called, maybe Paradise Lost or something. But it was great at the series where she was shown as Green Lantern. She was great in that. Again, great in any character that she's usually been at. Just fantastic. I've always loved her. I mean, what else? What do you got? I mean,
she's a member of the Bat family. Again, also tying kind of that relationship between Commissioner Gordon and Batman. She's kind of right there in the middle because she's his daughter. I love in the animated series, there's an episode where she's infected by Scarecrow's toxin, and she kind of reveals that Batman's Bruce and what he's done, and then Commissioner Gordon and the police go after Batman, and that episode was awesome. But on top of that, within we've seen her and Robin have a relationship with each other, and I love that. I love seeing Barbara, and I mean we've seen like in The Killing Joke, like her and Batman hook up. I don't really care for that as much, to be honest, even though I love in Killing Joke, like what happens to her in that storyline. And then we get Oracle because of it, and we
Right.
see the mind part of it. You know, her dad being the cop, and she's just, you know, in the Arkham game, she's even like built into his gauntlet, you know, where she can talk to him and all that stuff. So so many different versions of her, but I love Batgirl. And in Birds of Prey as well. Huge mistake in my mind. We've talked about it before, her not being in the Harley Quinn movie, The Birds of Prey, because she is, to me, she's like the main attraction of Birds of Prey. She's who I want to see. But she, you know, the gadgets, the little bat bike, she's hot. Batgirl and Oracle, Barbara Gordon, number 2 for both of us. So.
Yeah, and I just love the way she's always been written. Like I said, she's usually the leader in a lot of scenarios she's been put in. If Batman's not around, they kind of follow her. Birds of Prey, she did that too. So yeah, very cool, man.
Absolutely.
All right. So we got our number 1. We all know it might be her over there behind your right shoulder. Is that correct?
It's a Squirrel Girl, dude. No, absolutely. Wonder Woman. This one was easy. Wonder Woman was definitely number 1. Again, we're doing heroes, so we didn't consider Catwoman to be a true hero, so she's not eligible. Even then, she wouldn't be number 1. It'd be Wonder Woman. She's, you know, for all the reasons we've talked about before, she's, you know, the Themyscira. She's really a goddess. She's a warrior. She's kind of the heartbeat of the Justice League. You know, almost right there power-wise with Superman. She's always doing the right thing. We got great storylines with her. Gal Gadot, my lordy, Michael Jordan. She is on fire, and she does a great job, you know, and really quality movies. I mean, Wonder Woman was a fantastic film. Yeah. I have no doubt that Wonder Woman 84 is going to be fantastic. And it's so good to see she finally got her due on the big screen. Yep. And to be the badass that we know that she is, because between the jet and the lasso and the tiara and the suit, it's just, she's a wrecking ball, man. She'll go toe-to-toe with anybody all the way up to Darkseid, and she's not afraid of anybody. And I just love her. So this one was easy. Wonder Woman, number 1.
Yeah, don't sleep on Dirty Diana. Don't sleep on Dirty Diana, dude. I have been a fan of hers, like from live action wise, from Linda Carter through Gal Gadot. You know what I mean? We've talked about her ad nauseum before, but it just goes, when you do a list like this, there's no way Wonder Woman's not.
Yeah.
She's a female hero who started it all, basically.
Yeah. Do you have? I'm curious. Who is your favorite nemesis for Wonder Woman to go up against?
Ooh, that's a good one. I guess what comes to mind is Cheetah right off the bat. You know, and that's kind of always been. I guess outside of Ares, if you're looking for just a female hero or female villain, it would be Cheetah. You know what I mean? That's her main nemesis.
Me too. Yep. So likewise, Ares is cool because it's got like the God factor on it, you know. But Cheetah's usually who we see her fight is in the storylines, like the Bloodline storyline, especially. I love, but you know, Cheetah for me. But Wonder Woman for sure. But that's our opinion. What we want to know is what you guys think. Who is the baddest broad in all of superheroes for the females? There are a ton of them, and we really encourage, you know, everybody to give some of these female characters a look in the comics, the movies, because they are fantastic characters. But let us know. They really are. But please leave a comment. Let us know what you think. You can also check us out on Google Podcasts as well as Spotify. We cannot wait to bring so much more content with you. Lee has been awesome talking about the girls and breaking this list down. So thank you again for listening. We can't wait to bring more content. And until next time, guys, let's stay hunting.